Welcome to LECO Corporation's instructional video for cleaning the ion source in the Pegasus HRT system. This video will walk you through the proper method of venting the system and the process of cleaning the source. When cleaning the ion source, you may require some or all of the following items. The electric rotary tool was purchased at a local hardware store. The felt tip rotary tool bits were purchased online. Cool the source and transfer line by powering off the HV. This could take some time because typical temperatures are around 250 degrees centigrade. We must cool the source and transfer line to below 100 degrees centigrade to prevent burns. If you have a GC by GC system, cool the modulator and secondary oven through the modulator tab of diagnostics. After the transfer line and source have cooled, vent the source through the vacuum page. If you have a GC by GC system, you will have to uncoil the column from the secondary oven. Use care when uncoiling the secondary column because it could become brittle from heat. You may need to use a tool to gently remove the first loop. Slide the GC away from the mass spectrometer so the transfer line is completely exposed. Remove the source cover. Loosen the hex screws and slide the transfer line back. Remove the source control cables and then remove the source. Inspect the ion optic 1 entrance and the steering optics for discoloration. It may not be necessary to clean these components every time you clean the source. Take special notice of the orientation of the steering optics and their electrical connections. Remove the ion optic 1 entrance and steering optics. First, disconnect the wire leads from the steering optics. Then loosen the screws holding the assembly in place. The whole assembly can be removed all at once. Each component of the source is individually removed and inspected and placed on a clean surface. Be especially careful removing the filaments so as not to damage the delicate ribbon. It will not always be necessary to change the filaments. When removing the filaments, make note of which side of the source they are removed from so they can be put back in the same place. Remove the source chamber. Use the special tool provided by LECO to remove the repeller and tweezers to remove the repeller insulator. To do the best job, we're going to use an electric rotary tool. High speeds are not necessary. Rotary tools are available in AC or battery-operated styles. Here I'm going to use a rechargeable battery-operated Dremel brand. Due to different shapes and sizes of source components, I'm also going to use different shaped felt cleaning bits. Note: it's important to note that some rotary tool tips use a mandrel that screws into a piece of felt, and I do not use these. There is too high of a possibility of the screw going all the way through the felt and poking through the other side and damaging the optic. Here, I'm using a diamond suspension liquid to clean the parts. For the purpose of this video, I'm not going to clean every part, just a select few. I'm going to demonstrate two different cleaning compounds that I like to use. As I clean each component, I'll wipe them off extensively and drop them in a beaker of clean, deionized water to soak while I clean the other parts. Be very careful when dropping the parts in the beaker so they don't get damaged or scratched. The main areas I'm concerned about cleaning are the areas where the ions come into contact with the stainless steel surface. I like to use the conical shaped tip for cleaning any flat surfaces and the beveled orifices. I also use the conical shaped tip to clean the orifices on the source chamber. For other surfaces like the inside of the Ion Optic 1 entrance or the source chamber, I use cylindrical shaped tips. I like to use the paste compound for more stubborn ion burns. As I finish each piece, I wipe it off as completely as possible. After I've removed all of the cleaning compound, I gently drop it in the beaker of water to soak while I clean the other optics. It's especially important to clean any compound from small orifices, particularly on CI source chambers because the filament orifices are so much smaller. After all the components are cleaned, we put the individual optics in small beakers for sonication. The process is to sonicate first with water, then methanol, then acetone, and lastly hexane. Sonication of each stage lasts for 5 minutes. If cleaning spares ahead of source removal, I store the parts in clean, small plastic bags. Assembly will be the reverse order of taking the source apart. First, make sure the ceramic insulator is in place, then insert the repeller. Tighten the repeller until it stops firm. Over-tightening could damage the ceramics. Install the source chamber next. Here I'm going to install new filaments. Be careful not to damage the delicate ribbon. Install the source chamber exit plate and the ceramic insulator. The extraction optic is last. Tighten the screws in an opposite manner. Make sure to attach the wire lead. Visually inspect the complete source assembly. Make sure all the wires and contacts are secure. Make sure the components lay flat and tight. Install the ion optic 1 entrance and steering optics all at once. Make sure to attach the wire leads. It's helpful to use non-magnetic tweezers. Make sure the O-ring is clean before installing the source. Tighten the screws a little bit at a time, alternating across to make sure the O-ring is compressed flat. Attach the circular source connectors. Carefully slide the transfer line back into place and tighten the hex screws. Replace the source cover. Slide the GC back into position. Carefully coil the secondary column back into the secondary oven. Evacuate the source chamber. Make sure that the vacuum is at an appropriate level before powering up the high voltage. I like to power up with a commonly used leak check method. This video is intended to provide a step-by-step walkthrough of the process of cleaning the source on a LICO Pegasus HRT or HRT Plus mass spectrometer. For additional information, please consult the manual. Visit the LICO website at www.lico.com or call the LICO helpline at 888-LECO 911.